Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Jandro with Powerless Over Cars, and hopefully the closed captioning will actually spell my name right. I had some people go, "Is that really how you spell your name?" I go, "No," but that's how closed captioning spells it. Anyways, so it's a beautiful Saturday in the Northeast. I live here in Keene, New Hampshire, and you can see the snow behind me. Though I have some of my friends who are car people that are down in Connecticut, and they're telling me they got anywhere from 5 to 9 inches of snow. So I think that's pretty awesome, except if you want to do a car show. So I continue to wait patiently or impatiently for the town to give me the approval for the car show. But I want to talk about an area that's going to be really, really important. And I've begun to talk to people about this. Outside of cars, the most important thing is going to be people who want to be part of what we're doing. So I believe this is going to be an exciting event. I plan for an exciting event. I think it's going to be high energy. I think there's going to be some really cool cars, and I think there's going to be a lot of car enthusiasts. So one of the things I need are volunteers. I need people to come alongside us and operate with us. And based on reaching out to another couple of car show producers and things, it seems like the number is somewhere between 30 and 50 people. Um, and so that's where I want to begin. So if you're interested, if you're watching this, I would love to have you be part of an exciting event. I love car shows. I think we all do. If we get enough volunteers, there's going to be more than enough people to go around and give us time to actually be part of the show itself, not just as volunteers, but to actually participate with these people. And so the next part it brings me to is I love car shows because I like networking with people who think like I do when it comes to cars. And for me, that means that I'm going to run into people that are car lovers, and I'm going to run into people that are collectors, and I'm going to run into industry professionals because those are the people that I want to bring in. So part of our volunteering is to that we can network with like-minded people. So you may be an individual who has an involvement in the car world outside of car shows, and you just want to be part of what we're doing. The next part has to do with event planning experience. And so if there's people that are experienced with event planning or involving the community, I would love to invite you to come alongside. I know some of my friends who have cars and things like that are really good at bringing people together. And I think the cars themselves will be an attraction, but I think that we need people that are going to come alongside and give us some of that event planning experience. I tend to be a big picture person. I tend to be more about the operations. I was encouraged to receive some notes from people and ask me, what I've envisioned and what I picture and things like that. And what they said was, you've pretty much covered the bases. There was a couple of things I was a little weak on, and I had just begun, and I'm first one to say that sometimes I'm weak on some of those details. The next area has to do with our ability to support our local community. This is going to be happening in Swansea, New Hampshire. I'm going to need people to reach out into the community for businesses. People are going to go to restaurants. People are going to look for places to stay and things like that. And while it's easy to go on Google or whatever and just go, oh yeah, there's all the hotels in the area. It's really nice to have people that have an appreciation. There's hotels that are willing to allow people to bring in a trailer, perhaps with a vehicle on it or something like that. And before somebody sends me a note, real cars don't use trailers. One of the things that happens, and one of the things that I found out, was that when people have some of these antique cars or they have antique plates, there's only a certain amount of time, certain amount of hours or a certain amount of drive time and mileage that they're allowed to put on a vehicle in the course of a year. And the other part has to do with sometimes insurance companies dictate that as well. So I want to be able to support our local community. And so, what else is going to be there? Well, obviously, if you're a volunteer, you're going to be able to get in there and you're going to have access to whatever we're doing and things like that. You'll be able to get there early. You'll be able to see all the cars that are coming in. You'll be able to talk to the owners. You'll be able to do a lot of stuff that other people aren't necessarily going to have the availability or the ability to do in that. So, I'm just going to call it behind the scenes access. and things like that. If you're an up and coming person, maybe you just got involved in a classic car or an exotic car and things like that. One of the things that happens at these car shows is a lot of times the volunteers get to walk around with the people that, are very good about automotive history, and they know a lot about the innovation of cars and things like that. A year ago, I lost a little over a year ago, I lost a good friend of mine. He and I became friends, first and foremost. Through meeting him in a coffee shop, but subsequent, I found out that he had a couple of cars. He had an older Trans Am, and he had a 56 Crown Vic and things like that. And he ended up just being a really great guy with my grandson, and he shared a lot of his experience, and he shared a lot of his stuff. So there's a lot of that goes on for volunteers and things like that. The next thing has to do with, there's people that want to be more involved, not only in the car field, but perhaps in the areas of community and things like that, and volunteering at something that's going to be larger than the average car show or the average cruise night. What it does is, you're going to have the opportunity to work as a team. You're going to have the opportunity to possibly engage in leadership and provide organizational skills. Those all will really look good on a resume for you. I'm more than willing for the people that volunteer with us and things like that. As an area business person, I've given out more than my share of referrals and things like that of people that I've worked alongside with. So that's another part. As I said, there's going to be free admission. There may be some other perks that come along. I haven't got there yet because I haven't brought in sponsors and I haven't brought in advertisers. And right now there's two of us that are kind of working on it, and I'm just trying to get through the permit process and talk to the police. I've already talked to the police chief and things like that. So I need volunteers that are going to be willing to, help us. But I also want to make sure that, if I learned one thing some 25 years ago in another realm, is somehow you have to pay your volunteers. And what I mean by that, it's not so much the cash thing, but it's providing advantages and things like that, perks that come along. So where we have the opportunity to provide those perks, we're definitely going to do that. New friends, make new friends. Keep the old, make new friends. Let's be real. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a social environment, and there's going to be a lot of people who share your, common interests and things like that. My hope is that I can get some of the high school stuff, high school kids and things like that involved with us, as well as maybe some other organizations and things that work with young people, not just for the volunteer factor. There's not going to be any real heavy lifting or anything like that outside of, making sure the trash gets to the dumpster and things like that. But it's going to be more about, learning communication skills, making sure that people get where they need to go. Where's the bathroom? Where are the porta potties? Where are the bathrooms? All this kind of stuff. So we're going to make sure that everybody who's a volunteer has a knowledge of that. And hopefully, you're going to run into people that have like interests with you. I think I want to do something really cool. And so it's my heart that, we make something memorable. And in the process of making something memorable, you'll be part of a memorable event. So if you not volunteered for anything before, this might be your first opportunity. If you like cars, this might be a great opportunity. I think it's going to be a really cool event. And, once we get all the paperwork done, it's going to move at lightning speed. So I'm going to need people that have an interest not only in cars, but may have an interest in the event part, or reaching out into the community, or reaching out to sponsors and think people like that. And, it's said all the time that, many hands make light work. So we have to locate those many hands. So if you're interested in coming on board with us, I hope you'll reach out to me. These are going to be clips, and there's going to be video of this, and going to be invites. Once we actually get the show is official, we're going to become a Facebook event, and then you're going to see a lot of insight on that. So love to have you volunteer with us. Love to have you party up with us. I want you to bring your skill sets to the table. If you don't think you have any skill sets, let's have a conversation. Thanks a lot. Again, Lee Jandro with Powerless Over Cars, getting ready for a large car show in the month of May. Thank you.